heavily to Trump's election victory. But our guest says investors were focusing on the positives, such as deregulation and tax cuts. They ignored the negatives, such as tariffs, deportations, and a Federal Reserve obliged possibly to keep interest rates higher than they would otherwise like. Will America actually go through with these tariffs on Canadian and Mexican imports? Let's get more from John Wilson, co-CEO and managing partner at Ninepoint Partners. Great to see you.
Great to be here.
I mean, it's a bit of a repeat of Trump version 1, isn't it? He put through these tariffs, and even American industry in some cases said, don't do this because we've got this integrated economy.
Yeah, in the end, people talk about a lot of uncertainty with Trump, but I would say he's fairly predictable. He pretty much tells you what he wants to do, and he thinks he's the world expert on pretty much everything, so he doesn't listen to other people that much. I think in his first go-round, the big difference was there were people there that were sort of the leftovers, I guess, of the old Republican Party, who did things, you can't do it that way, we don't work this way. Those people aren't there this time, so I think it's going to be quite different. Right up until yesterday, everyone was saying, well, he's just joking about tariffs, or it's a negotiating tactic. I don't think it is. I think you're going to see tariffs, absolutely.
That's interesting. Despite, even if American companies come to him and say, hey, we buy this sub-assembly from Canada or whatever.
Yeah, he'll go and say, I have a mandate. I told everyone tariff was my favorite word. I won a landslide. We won the Congress. He's going to go, yeah.
What about this threatened mass deportations? What could that cause if it happens?
He's been really clear about that. I don't know why people don't take him at his word on that. Look at the people he's appointed, right? His border czar has been very outspoken about mass deportation starting on day 1. His Homeland Security secretary is Kristi Noem from the Dakotas, who is also very outspoken about deporting immigrants. So yeah, I think they will do that. I think it's going to cause chaos across a range of industries. If you think of where it's a big component of the U.S. low-wage labor force. Meatpacking, dairy, hospitality, home construction. Something like 20% of the workers in the home construction industry are undocumented immigrants.
Wow.
It will cause a lot of issues. People will go into hiding. They won't come to work. I think that, along with tariffs, are quite inflationary, actually.
That's interesting, yeah. I do remember Conrad Black, who is a fan of Donald Trump, saying actually he did a great favor to the U.S. worker by cutting down on immigration. But you could probably debate that for a long time.
I mean, look, unemployment's been at an all-time low through this run. I don't think labor participation is a huge problem. So, and they need these workers. I mean, if you don't have these workers, you're going to, by definition, have a higher cost of labor.
We've heard this prediction, 333. Excuse me, an optimistic prediction for the U.S. economy. Just give us the background on that. What is it?
Yeah, so the individual they put forward as their chosen Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent, has this policy theory called 333, which is cut the fiscal deficit, which today is running a little over 6%, down to 3%, get GDP growth, real GDP growth to 3%, which it never was during the Trump term, and produce an extra 3 million barrels of oil.
Wow, and they're at about 13 million a day now.
Yeah, so we see all three of those as not achievable. Certainly, if you want to get your deficit down to 3%, less than half of where it is today, you either need to raise taxes and or cut spending. Neither of those are going to help GDP growth. So it seems almost impossible that you're going to do both of those things. And of course, oil companies have pretty much zero interest in producing 3 more million barrels of oil in the United States. So.
Right, because they don't tend to push down the price.
Not at this price, of course not. Yeah, and their shareholders have been very outspoken about returning capital to shareholders, and they've been doing that, and their stocks have reflected it. And one thing CEOs and boards will pay attention to is the stock price. Yeah. So they're not going to go against that. Yeah.
And you don't generally get rewarded for jacking up your production rapidly or spending heavily to do so.
No, and in fact, back to the tariffs, this report your prior guest was speaking about that midday that Canadian oil is not going to be exempt. The majority of U.S. oil imports are from Canada.
Right,
and the rest
60% or something.
And Mexico's another big one, but Canada is over 60%. And, their refiners are completely set up for heavy oil, which is our output. You can produce all the shale light sweet crude you want. It's not going in those refiners. So it would have a very negative impact on gasoline prices. I've seen estimates up to just under $1 a gallon. And so, it doesn't make any sense, but that didn't stop him before. And I certainly at the outset, it won't stop him this time.
You'd think he'd hold off from something, though, that would make gasoline prices rise so sharply.
If he's going to hold off on anything, I think they can convince him on energy. I do think that'll get cut out. But, when the only thing he respects is strength, right? That's why he likes Putin. That's why he likes, the Chinese. That's why he likes dictators. And actually, I thought the Mexican response was one of strength, right? They said, well, if you're going to do that, we're going to come back. And I think Canada needs to do the same thing. We can't waffle.
Has there been a lack of backbone from Canada in the sense that we kind of threw Mexico under the bus and our federal government said, well, we'll talk to Trump about a bilateral deal?
Yeah, look at it. He fundamentally, he sees everything as a zero-sum game. There's a winner and a loser. He likes to think he needs to win every deal. He doesn't see the complexity of some of these arrangements. Things like tariffs, right? There are many, many goods that go back and forth across the border multiple times getting built. And so, there's all these issues that he does not understand. So you have to come back to him strong and say, if you do that, we're doing the same. Let's sit down and talk.
It is interesting, a part of economic theory, as far as I know, is that uncertainty in itself is economically damaging because people defer investment, for example.
Of course, yeah. I would argue the only thing more damaging than uncertainty is something like putting across-the-board tariffs on everything in a unified supply chain market like North America.
John, thank you very much indeed. Yeah. John Wilson, co-CEO and managing partner at Ninepoint Partners.